To the May 27th Village Board Work Session. This meeting is now called to order, and we'll begin with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, well, this is a very exciting evening for us indeed. It is our first evening with our new village manager, Abe Zambrano, who will address everyone for the first time publicly as our village manager in just a moment. Is that all right if we start our usual way?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, well, I have a couple of announcements, and I imagine my colleagues do as well. I'll just give everybody their very last chance reminder. If you are interested in getting solar on your residential or commercial property anywhere in the town of Ossining, the village of Ossining, the village of Briarcliff, now is your last chance to participate in the Solarize Ossining Briarcliff program. The link is on our website. It's as I've told people every week for months now, this is a special opportunity. All of the municipalities are working together with nonprofit organizations and very carefully vetted and selected private industry vendors to provide the solar installers to help encourage solar arrays on rooftops in our community to save you money, to lower your footprint, to help us to be more energy independent. Trustee Durayo, I don't know if he has an update. He has been our guinea pig on taking part in the Solarize program.
So I had a follow-up conversation with the people from Ross Solar who are doing it at my house today. Tomorrow, when I get to the office, I'm signing the contract and sending it in, and I'm very excited. The next thing is to schedule them coming, and I'll give you an update after they come and put the panels on the roof.
Terrific. Thank you. So that is the Solarize Ossining Briarcliff program. You can find it through our website or just Google Solarize Ossining Briarcliff. And one other reminder, the Ossining Documentary and Discussion Series will be showing the film Project Wild Thing on Thursday, June 11th at the Ossining Public Library. As always, it is free. It begins at 6:30 with a screening of the film, followed by a panel discussion. And this month's selection is very appropriate for June as we enter summer. Parents or any child caregivers may be thinking about how to keep their children connecting with the outdoors. And that's really what this is about. It's about connecting our children with nature and disengaging them from screens. And so it should be a very interesting conversation. So I encourage you to join us at the Ossining Library Thursday, June 11th at 6:30. Trustee Herrera?
Yes, thank you. I also want to echo a welcome to our new village manager, Abe Zambrano. Great to be here at our first meeting. My first announcement is the Uptown Initiative that was launched by the Greater Ossining Chamber of Commerce is having their first event. They're having a Croton Avenue, Pleasantville Road, Camp Woods area cleanup day on Friday, June 5th. If you are a merchant or a resident that wants to purchase discount cleaning supplies, you can at the participating hardware stores on Croton Avenue. It's an exciting project, and it's great to see so many merchants in that area coming together and really, making the area more beautiful and more effective for business and having a long-term plan. My other announcement is that the Ossining Chamber of Commerce is hosting their 35th annual Ossining Village Fair on Saturday, June 13th. This year, we are a little short on volunteers, so if you are an adult, a resident, or a high school student in particular, you qualify for community service hours. There is one catch. You do have to be there at 7 a.m. on Saturday, June 13th, but we'll make sure to bring you some donuts and coffee and whatever you need, and you get a free T-shirt. So you get community service, some food. It's a win-win. My other announcement is, speaking of beautification, thanks to the help of Assistant Village Manager Papes and Superintendent of Parks Chris Soy in the Chamber of Commerce, we're going to be having a community beautification flower planting on Saturday, June 6th. We're going to be meeting at 10 a.m. in front of 200 Main Street, and then at 11 a.m. at Market Square. If you want to be involved and have any questions, please email me at herrera@villageofossining.org. And just two more. Summer office hours have changed as we're getting into a new season. So am I. So now office hours will be every second Wednesday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. So for all those who have called and emailed me to have it in the evening, let's try that. And I hope to see more people. And virtual office hours will be every fourth Wednesday. That's all. Thank you.
Well, I want to just say welcome. I'm so glad that Abe is here. We're embarking on a whole new world here in the village of Ossining. We're very excited. And we're also embarking on the new boating season. So I ask everybody that when you go out on the water on our wonderful Hudson River, make sure that you wear your life jacket. 88% of the people who drown because they weren't wearing your life jacket. Having one on your boat doesn't help you when you're in the water and your life jacket is still on the boat. And remember, drinking and boating do not mix. We had 2 BUIs this last weekend where people were arrested for boating under the influence. You must know they treat that just like a DUI, and you lose your driver's license, never mind your boating privileges. So be aware that if you decide to have a drink, the police will be providing the chaser. Thank you.
That's a good way to put it.
This side of the table.
Sure. Another event that's going to be taking place on the same day as the downtown fair, there's going to be a Holy Ossining tour, and it's sponsored by the Ossining Historic Cemeteries Conservancy. It'll be a tour of 4 of our churches right near the downtown. It'll be First Baptist, First Presbyterian, Ossining Methodist, and Trinity Episcopal. It's a 2-hour inside tour that showcases these beautiful churches, significant 19th century Gothic-style church buildings. And it'll start at 1 o'clock. And if you want to get more information, 762-6133, or you can email ohcc10562@gmail.com. It is a free tour, but OHCC is a 501c3 nonprofit, and a $5 tax-deductible donation would be appreciated. So again, that's Saturday, June 13th. You can go to the fair in the morning and then get your tour of the churches in the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to echo what everybody else on the board has said. Abe, welcome.
Thank you.
We look forward to at the beginning of a lot of new things for the village of Ossining. So I appreciate you being here. It was a long process, and again, thank you. I really don't have any announcements. I think we pretty much covered half of the summer.
Oh, there's more to come. In fact, number 1 on our
there's more
agenda.
stuff to come. Correct. There's more things to come. So just wait until the next work session. There's a couple of things that I'm working on it. I think the rest of the board will also have new ideas and new things going on. So thank you.
Thank you. Abe.
Thank you, Mayor Garrity. First of all, I would like to thank the board again for welcoming here, as well as the staff. I met with them earlier today, and I will be working with some department heads closer than with others at the very beginning. But I think that there's certainly a plan, bless you, that I'll be setting forth, and I will be keeping the board up to date as to how we address those issues and how we address things up and coming. I know that there's a series of items that I would like to put at the head of the agenda to address things that are, I think, more pressing than others. But again, I will be providing those updates to you as the time comes. So on that, can we?
Let's get to it. We've got a big agenda.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Garrity, again. So tonight we have actually several items on the agenda, and it is going to be the Lori Lee Dixon show tonight. So, so the first topic on the agenda tonight is the 2015 Portuguese Festival, which is going to take place later on in the month of June. And so this is for you to discuss. And we have a member of the Portuguese Club before the board here, so.
You may remember Arlinda De Silva from last year. She presented to the board. She's here again this year to just apprise the board, update them on the festival. And did you want to invite her to the...
Yeah, would you like to join us?
Absolutely.
Please, thank you.
Absolutely.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome
Thank
to
you.
the beautiful village of Ossining.
Thank you.
The club has been in existence in Ossining for 40 years. We just had our anniversary. And this fair we've been holding together for about 10. I think this is the 10th annual.
Oh, good.
It brings the community together. It brings other towns, actually states that join in folk group and our music and traditions. And we just like to see our children grow up with the same traditions that the older generation that put the club together did. So I'm here to ask for your permission and your support and to carry out again on the 20th of June.
Are there any, is it different than years past? Is there
Yeah,
any considerations
yeah.
for us?
It's, I believe it's going to be the same.
It's the same. I understand the market square, that the market is going to be going on that morning, as usual.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that correct? The farmer's market. So we'll wait until they're through in order to set up the mass, if need be, on that section of the street. I'm concerned about the children. That's what I said last year, and that's what I asked about this year. There are lots of children around, so if we could block both roads after the fair, that would really be beneficial too, and safety for the children, and the parents would be more at ease.
You mean close off Spring
They
Street,
closed it
or
off last year at the very, what's there, the pharmacy, at the
Yeah.
beginning of that one way.
From St. Paul's to Maine?
Correct, to Maine, and then from Maine to, I guess, the post office.
The post office,
So
yeah.
that center there would be close to traffic. But
That's
not
the
during
same as
work.
last year.
Same as last
So,
year.
just nothing, there's nothing different,
No
right?
changes. It still
Okay.
opens at 11. It's the mass is at 1. The music's, in the food, music, everything's throughout the whole day. Close at 10. We'd like to live another hour, but I know that's, asking for too much. So we'll stop the music at 10 and clean up by 11. I hope for a nice day.
So, Assistant Manager Papes, I just would follow up with you. Last year, were there any concerns? Did we have any concerns that the police or any of the departments raised following this process, the event?
No issues raised. They were excellent to work with, and we've been speaking with representatives with regard to this one, and we expect another successful festival.
Good. Well,
And
then,
they closed. I'm sorry.
Oh, go
They
ahead.
closed the streets a little later, right? Not right in the beginning. I think it was.
Correct.
Yeah, so that the businesses are minimally impacted.
Right. Just after the fair, after the farmer's market is when we.
So
Yeah.
at 2, they'll be
2
closed.
o'clock?
Yeah.
2 o'clock.
About 2 o'clock, yes. Now, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, the parking lot where we hold the fair. There's parking there for those people who have overnight parking. So last year we put notices on their cars if they could have their vehicles removed by 7, 8 o'clock the following morning, so that we can set up the tents and chairs. I don't know if that's permissible again this year or.
You mean the adjacent lot by Hudson Pharmacy, right? The
The
it's
center of the
post
parking lot, the actual post office parking lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There's a corner there that's, I guess,
Behind the
dedicated to-
pine tree, kind of. Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
I mean, it's hard to get somebody to come to move their car when you already started.
Yeah.
So we did put signs on the cars last year.
And they moved them. It worked really well.
Yeah, it worked well. We had no issues at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
We coordinated it well, and it went well.
According to the police department, the objective is to not tow anybody's car, not try to minimally impact everybody. So they give them notice and ask them to have it moved versus closing it closing it early. I'm not sure who it was who brought it up last year, so that we can extend the time people could park there, so that they were able to leave it there overnight if they didn't have alternate spaces to park.
So we're going to
in.
do exactly the same thing we did last year.
Exactly the same.
Great.
thing.
so is everybody supportive of this? Any more
Yes.
further questions?
No,
Okay.
I just had a quick question in regards. I guess that will go to Chrissy. When you guys put the sign for the parking lot to be clear at 7 o'clock in the morning, when did the notices went out? Did the notices went out the night before or like 2 days before?
I thought it was 2 days before.
Okay.
But definitely a day before. But I thought it was 2 because the day before is they're already in their house.
Right.
Yeah. So
You know,
if-
you go in, you
yeah.
don't have to move until 10 o'clock the next morning, you're off. And
Yeah.
meanwhile,
So
someone's
if we
sticking a
can
notice.
make sure that it's at
Okay.
least 2 days before, so that the people are aware that on
Right.
Saturday
The
morning
signs
we'll
were
be
on
able
the
to.
posts a couple of days in advance.
Yes.
Yes.
What we did is a friendly reminder and put it on the windshield the night before, so that when they came up from the train station, that they didn't miss the sign and park anyway.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, good.
I just had one thing, and the thing that I'm currently working on with Keenan House for the Village Fair and a couple other alcohol vendors for Summerfest, is making sure that everything is set when it comes to the enclosed areas for the alcohol sales and stuff. And I already spoke to Laura Lee about it, so just to make sure, because last year for both the Village Fair and Summerfest, we had a couple of challenges, but we went, thanks to Laura Lee and our village manager's office, we got through them. And I just want to make sure that all the events are treated the same when it comes to our state permits that we get.
Yeah, we usually the municipality is asked by the liquor authority to sign that we're authorizing, and so we just would like to get that application in so we can be sure that we're not last minute. You're not.
They've actually, the
inconvenienced.
Portuguese Club has already requested the letter from us
Great.
so that they can seek that additional paperwork, and they're in the process
Great.
of acquiring
I have
that.
a license, so I really, take
Great. So yeah, it's in
Thank you.
it's in an enclosed area. Yes,
Hey, you had too much.
love it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that's
I look forward to
that's
it.
June 20th.
20.
All right, mark your calendars.
And your invitations for the ceremony?
We have the invitations ready. I'll add later on. I think you were on last year.
Yes, but I was a trustee last year, so now I'm the mayor.
That's right.
Right.
And I'll just look back and see what
Yep.
pick up
Great.
your names and-
She had mentioned, just in case the Portuguese clubs extended an invitation to the board
Right.
and asked them to join them in their opening ceremony. So that was what we talked about. And want to make sure you guys had it on your calendar.
Thank you.
So if you're going to be there during the day, is wonderful, but it'd be nice for you to be there during that ceremony as well.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
And the food.
Yeah.
Yes, which is amazing.
Not everybody's up for sardines. But
No.
No, my kids love them
I
actually.
am. I do.
I have
Thank you.
The itinerary here from the Times Square. It's the same as last year, so I'll leave it with you.
Okay, sure. That'd be great. Thanks.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for coming in. The second item on tonight's agenda, we have an introductory law number 3 before the board. Again, this is a draft. This is on the complete streets, and Lori Lee Dixon, Corporation Counsel, will be discussing it with the board. There's a couple of steps. Actually, there's 3 local laws that are being introduced tonight, but the 3 of them will be discussed. Lori Lee will take the lead on these.
Okay, introductory local law number 3. This is the second time you're seeing this. We made some tweaks to it since we had our last discussion. I just wanted to point out that we have added the Chapter 270 52B objectives, which is a revision to your zoning code. So you can see the attached resolution that we're proposing for next week. Not only will refer it out to your planning board, but also your EAC, because they'll have to provide a recommendation on compliance with your coastal zone management plan. So those 2 things will be done, and it's also setting a public hearing on July 1st, which is far enough in advance for you to have received recommendations, which would permit you then to act at your legislative session, the following legislative session on the 15th. So that's where we are with the complete streets policy, and I would like to put this on for next week if it now meets with your approval.
Any comments?
I'm okay with it.
Well, thanks for moving it forward. Yeah, I'm
Great.
excited to have this be
Very exciting.
cleaned up and official. Thanks.
Okay, wonderful. The next item is an initial review, local law number 4. It is quite extensive, and so it requires a brief introduction. Much of your code actually dates back to the 70s. A lot of it is outdated in that it establishes procedure and uses language which is out of fashion and also adverse to the New York State Uniform Codes enforcement requirement. The New York State promulgated the Uniform Codes, which became effective in 1984. So slowly but surely, and this is a major first step, I've been working with the building department to get our code updated so it reflects reality. For example, in the 70s, the village undertook the review and examination and licensing of plumbers. Believe it or not, we held examinations, we scored them, we qualified plumbers to do work in the village. That's no longer the case. The county has taken over that licensing. So our code didn't reflect that change, so it had some antiquated provisions in it in the plumbing section. The other sections had to do also with antiquated definitions and language. So what I tried to do was group Chapter 133, 162, 201, and 270 to address and clarify some of the antiquated language. With reference to the updates in 270, that is our zoning code, and what we're doing is we're being explicitly clear on this application for and the qualification for demolition permits. As you know, we recently had some questions, and some questions arose about process and procedure. So I've put this right in with the building code requirements. Now, if you're going to demolish a building or a structure, you're going to the zoning code to make that application. I also sent out late this afternoon the first draft that the building department has sent me with the updated building permit, demolition permit application form. You can see I've tried to make those zoning code provisions parallel. These are the requirements at a minimum for a building permit. These are the requirements at a minimum for a demolition permit, both of which will expire if they're not used with a certain period of time. The language I've used for expiration of demolition permits mirrors exactly the language from the New York State Uniform Codes when the state is the actor. The state is enforcing the Uniform Code. So I tried to use the exact same language as much as possible. I did pretty extensive research, and I met with Al as late as this afternoon, and I sent out a draft in advance of today. There was no substantive changes. There was some language tweaking, and there was also that insertion of the language on the expiration of the demolition permits. So you can see how we've gone through the matter, and you can look at the local law, and it goes in order of the code provisions that we are proposing to revise. The first one had to do with inspections, qualification for who's to inspect I guess these are situations where there's a fire possibility, a fire probability. It would inhibit the ability of our first responders to respond to an emergency situation due to extraneous debris in the way or other obstructions. So we started by clarifying, believe it or not, we had a provision whereby the village manager was issuing an order to remedy these. Now that's no longer possible and probable. The New York State codes have usurped that all and provided that. So this gives explicit instructions upon the recommendation of your chief and your assistant chief to the building inspector. The building inspector can issue this order to remedy, and the order to remedy, the time frame within which you have to respond is no more than 24 hours, and that's right in the code. So you have explicit information. The second provision had to do with establishing a fire zone at an emergency scene. It used to be that the fire chief established that, and that then again, the fire department always calls the building department as well. So we had to expand the ability of who could issue a violation, not just the police, but also the zoning, the code compliance officers could come and issue that as well. So you can see
suggestion.
how we, yes.
I have one suggestion on this, where it says in section 1A, and all the other places subsequently, the fire chief of the fire department or an assistant fire chief. It should also say, or deputy chief. And the reason is that all of the prior chiefs of department become deputy chiefs, and often they step in for the fire chiefs. And by having them authorized as well, it guarantees that at every scene there'll be a chief that is authorized.
Okay.
Okay?
Good call.
Thank you.
Can easily
Good to have
be
a
added.
fireman on the board.
That can easily be added, no problem.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, the next section had to do with Chapter 162, which is called Housing Standards currently. But buried in the code itself, it said this chapter shall be known as the property maintenance code. And I thought, why not just put that in the title? So we're clear that these are the property maintenance standards as well as the building standards. And so again, this was a very antiquated section of our code. It permitted, if you were issued an order to remedy under this code, you could go to the Zoning Board of Appeals to challenge it. Of course, that's not jurisdictional, and it would statutorily no longer available as a remedy. So we needed to remove that and put in the proper process and who's qualified to issue these. I do know that Chapter 162 has some other very extensive revisions. We're looking at this chapter globally, along with two other chapters. Al and I decided today to take a step back to be sure that we were making the language parallel in our building standards with that in the Uniform Codes provision. So he's going to take a look at that. I left in the most relevant 3 or 4 sections that need addressing right away. I didn't want to hold up the law because, as you know, it's coupled with a section on zoning, so we're already going to be 30 to 45 days out. So I didn't want to hold up the law, but it will be coming back with some more changes to 162, as well as our electrical code, as well as 3 or 4 of the others that we've earmarked for changes. The noise ordinance, there's a couple of others that we're tweaking. So we put in the most important sections, and the most important section, which we have completely eliminated, was this section, 162, section 38, which we've eliminated completely. But it simply said if you were issued an order to remedy, you could choose to demolish your building instead of fixing it. So this is one of these sections buried in the code that has caused some problems in the relatively recent past.
Yes.
So we'll eliminate that completely, so there's no question that that's an option. It's an option under no certain circumstances, unless you came forward with a valid demolition permit, and then we've coupled that with the later language for the zoning code. So that we've taken out completely. We've also included in the definition of building inspector the revisions we made to the zoning where building inspector is synonymous in our village with the director of code enforcement. Building inspector is a
gonna ask you
competitive
that.
title, and so we don't have that necessarily, but we wanted to be sure that everyone understood if you're saying building inspector, it also means code enforcement officer, because at some point down the road, you could choose to put a competitive individual in the building inspector as a competitive title. But, you know, he's a manager in this case, and his official title is in the zoning code has already been changed. So we mirrored this with the language that was already changed, I think, 3 or 4 years ago when we did the major overhaul of our zoning code.
Right.
I'm sorry, Laura Lee, so that's going to be reflected in this portion as well, because I found building inspector in here with the fire chiefs and the paragraph.
Yeah, each of the chapters has a definition section, and it's
Yeah.
it's already
Okay.
covered in the others.
Yeah.
We're making sure that we're being consistent from chapter to chapter.
There's another part here, and I'm sorry, I'm reading the town of Austining.
Yes, for some reason, the town of Austining was a defined term in this code section, in this chapter. For no reason, the town of Austining was not used in the language of the code itself, so we think it was just sort of this antiquated definition that was sort of an orphan that had never been removed. So we're cleaning it up, making it neat and tidy, and we're taking it out.
So that's a delete as well. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not used in the language, actually, anywhere in the chapter. So it's just sort of an errant orphan defined term for some reason.
Very good.
Okay?
Yeah.
And then the next section has to do with the plumbing code. And you can see Chapter 201. It's Section 7 of the most recent revision that I sent out this afternoon. It's Section 71. Section 7, Chapter 201, Section 2, and then it starts with the definitions section. This was that section of the code whereby the village was licensing its own plumbers, testing, examining, certifying, all of that stuff. So we've taken out the language from this that had to do with that examination process.
And put Westchester County.
And Westchester County, right now, the authority, it says county, and that we use that consistently through the code now. They're the authority which issues trade licenses to qualified plumbers. And that's how we're reflecting it. We've also clearly define the definition of what constitutes plumbing. So there's, again, it makes it easier for developers and property owners when they come forward. Do I need a permit? Do I need an inspection? What needs to be included? So we, again, went to the uniform codes and we took the language out of the uniform codes and we put it in specifically to include waste, to include distribution and transmission of water, gas, including LP gas, natural gas, and also medical gases. That's for the dentist's offices that are putting tanks outside and then piping. So there's no question then that that's included in the plumbing inspections and the plumbing requirements. So that's what we did here. And the rest of it is on the Chapter 201 are those sections. We literally gutted it because none of it, you needed to put up a bond, so you could be licensed, you could do work, you could. So we've had to renumber as a result. It seems very confusing, but if you looked at the original, you would scratch your head and say, we don't do this, we haven't done this in 25 years. So you can see entire sections are completely deleted, and it makes it a very workable chapter now. It's clear, it's concise, everyone understands upfront what your responsibility for is, where your inspection is, who you have to notify, where you have to call. So it's clear. And then the last section, it's 201 keeps going because we had to do all the renumbering. The last section is that Chapter 270 zoning. And those changes were, so we're absolutely clear that a building permit and a demolition permit require process, require thoughtful review, require minimum standards, and we made it clear. And then just this afternoon, Al and I decided to add that language in item L, which talks about suspending or revoking for material misstatements of fact on the application. This is taken directly from 12022 in the Uniform State Code. So we're not making it up. We're not making it any stricter, any less strict. It's exactly the same as if the state were enforcing this.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Is it possible to put in here that no building permits or demolition permits will be issued to anyone who has outstanding violations on any building that they own or are a party to?
I can check the code. I believe that language already exists, and I can actually send you that provision. So
Good.
I'll double check that for
Because
you.
I'd like to see it here as well, or referenced to there as well, so that it is very clear that if you've got a property that's got violations, don't come to the zoning board and ask to get variances and building permits for another property until you've cleaned up the stuff on the first one.
Okay, I can double check. I'm pretty sure it exists. I don't have my
I didn't ask you to
big
do
book
that.
with all the tabs in it.
No
but
worries.
I'll
Just,
let you know.
And it just needs to be referenced here.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is the zoning code, so we can remind them in this section. So
Yeah.
absolutely. So that's it in a nutshell. I know it's
Hold on. Good job.
it's a major revision, but it needed to be done.
Yeah, with reference to the timelines,
Where are you, John?
I'm in K.
Okay.
Of what?
270, the changes
I
to
guess
270.
I don't know, the ones in parentheses are going away,
Yeah.
so it's K.
Yeah?
So it says, every building permit shall expire if the work authorized has not commenced within 3 months after the date of issuance, or has not been completed 12 months from such date
Yeah,
for
that's not-
construction costing less than $1 million, and has been completed within 18 months of such date for construction in excess of such amount.
Yeah, that's not being changed at all except the letter.
It's being K instead of I.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
There's
guess
no
I-
additional language there at all.
Yeah, I get concerned about things that get started and then they don't get done.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess I'm less concerned about the 3 months and more concerned about the 12 months that the start and completion dates. And when people say they're going to do stuff, I want to see them do it. Obviously, we don't want to have things half done and half
Correct.
completed.
Correct.
I don't know if is this is this language a standard? Like
I can
from-
check.
It's
Yeah.
actually-
I'm pretty sure it mirrors the uniform code, but I will double check for you. I'll put that right in.
You'd like the 12 months to be less.
Well, I'd like to
45
understand.
minutes or
I'd like
so.
to understand. I want people to start building things and finish them.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah,
I don't. I want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna disagree with you in that, John. And
Okay.
there's occasions where talking about big projects, yes, I can see that. But there's times that a small homeowner wants to do their renovations, and sometimes they take their time, and sometimes because of financial issues, they don't have the 12 months. So all the municipalities, including Ossining, the village of Ossining, the town of Ossining, and all our neighbors, usually what happens is after 12 months, if you don't have finished the project in hand, you usually get an extension. But you have to prove, through the inspections and through all the stuff, is either they give you an extension and you pay, you do the application part over again, so you get that
Yeah,
application
I
fee.
mean, and
So,
I think that's good. I guess I just
Yeah.
want to make sure that there's a process in place that keeps things moving
No,
along, and
of
that
course.
and we get commitment.
No,
and I guess
definitely.
the other question I have would be on L, which is the demolition permit.
That one's
Yes,
a little
that was
more,
just
more
gonna-
surprising. It must commence within 6 months after the issuance, and the demolition could take up to 12 months.
yeah, that was-
I could knock stuff down
Demolition,
faster.
I guess I'm just not familiar enough with how that
That's-
scenario makes
that's
sense. I know
totally-
you lifted this directly from the state, so it's
It's
just,
the state code. It's the state code provision.
yeah, we can definitely be a little bit stricter than that, though. That's for sure.
We could, legally?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I
You know, it takes
for
6 months to
demolition, I mean,
demolish the
I mean, whatever we can legally allow. If people are going to take things down, they need to do it properly, and they
Quickly.
need to make sure things are the property's policed and taken care of, and all that other stuff. I just, I understand these things have to happen, but I think it's only fair to surrounding property owners and just for the general orderly.
I think you're looking at an older version, actually.
well, and I think it's one right after that, L. Every
Yeah.
demolition permit shall expire if the authorized work has not commenced within 6 months after the date of issuance, or has not been completed 12 months since the date of issuance.
So you're looking at an earlier version. The one that I sent out this evening has the state language. And want me to read it to you?
Yes.
please.
Oh,
Okay.
yes.
It says a demolition permit issued pursuant to this chapter shall expire 6 months from the date of issuance.
And that's all it says.
A demolition permit may, upon written request, be renewed for up to 2 successive 6-month periods. Renewals of permits may be granted only if the permit has not been revoked or suspended at the time the application for renewal is made, the relevant information in the application is up to date, and any applicable renewal fee is paid.
So that's
Okay.
still the same.
That's better.
So, yeah, we've all been in a meeting since this email was sent, so
It's-
we may not,
Sorry.
we're not looking
Not
at the
a
most
problem.
updated version, so
It
that's all
came
good
late
news.
this afternoon. I sat down with Al. Al reviewed it, went back to the office, sent me the language. Here it is. So,
Great.
yeah,
Nice job.
and it has a preamble that says every demolition permit issued pursuant to this chapter may be suspended or revoked if it is determined that the work to which it pertains is not proceeding in conformity with applicable law or regulation, or with any condition attached to such permit, or if there has been a misrepresentation or falsification of a material fact in connection with the application for the permit. Again, taken straight from the Uniform State Code.
Is
So
there-
it's 6 months, period, end of discussion.
Is there a penalty that I don't see somewhere for, like, for example, someone decides to knock the building down even though their demolition permit, the provisions have not been met? That tends to happen some places.
Yeah,
You hear
it's-
about such
It's
things.
$5,000 a day. In the zoning code, that's why we're putting it in the zoning code. It's
So
extremely important for us to
are we
include it in
currently
Chapter
doing that?
270.
There-
We're in court.
Thank you.
Speaking of the 6 months,
Yeah.
so I've seen, and I know that the whole purpose of us doing these code revisions is to, make it more concise, but is there a way to, on the actual demolition permit, to write it in bold or have a box or do something that clearly states what the expiration date is on? Oh, draft, fantastic.
I just got a draft today, this afternoon, again, late when Al went back. He sent me the draft based upon our conversation. And what I intend to do then is to go through this in the next few days and have the language from here reflected on here.
Oh, good.
Perfect.
Including the penalties?
Including all of it,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
You
I
can be
want big
subject
letters.
to this, up to this, and actually cite this section. So,
Is there incarceration?
yes.
Oh, good. I want to see that.
All right.
It's there. Okay?
Yeah, it says in bold letters underlined it in the draft, in all caps.
Screw this up and you go to jail.
So what I would
Doesn't
like
quite
to
say
do, for purposes of next week, again, this has to go to the planning board because we are adding that revision to the zoning section, chapter 270. So it has to go to the planning board and it also needs to go to the EAC. I'd like to see you make that recommendation for referral. Again, the public hearing isn't until July 1st, so we have a chance for me to answer your questions and to tweak it. Nothing we talked about was substantive nature, and you actually have the right under statutory authority to tweak a local law up to the point where you adopt it. So you could even make a revision as late as the night that you adopt the local law. So I'm really hoping we can move this forward. It's going to take 45 days because of the referrals and the recommendations.
Can we also add some language around if a developer has an architect make plans and then they build something different than what's in the plans, and what they build violates our code, can we put something in here that holds the engineer, the architect, and the developer criminally liable? And I would like to see that, if that's possible.
Okay, that is a substantive change, and that would hold us up.
Indeed. We're not in that big a hurry.
Well, I am in a hurry to tweak the stuff that's antiquated and outdated, and I'm pretty nervous about making sure. So what I
Might as well do it
might
right the first
propose,
time.
what I might propose to do is that we could make that the subject of a separate local law, because I have these other ones coming forward, and they're already pretty much drafted. So if I could do that research and put that in number 6. And
Okay.
get that to you as soon as I can get it done, then
That's
we could
acceptable.
proceed with this one and add that as a substantive change.
You understand what
Chapter
we're looking
270
for,
completely.
Yeah? I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak for the whole board. Is everybody happy with this concept? Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, you're doing great, Bob.
Thank you.
Good day.
Okay.
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind, if we could move this one forward, I'll
Yes.
get that one,
Yep.
and
Yeah.
because
As a
I
separate-
have
Yeah,
some
we're
more
agreed.
significant
We're in
changes.
agreement.
Thanks, good.
No worries. Don't want to hold you up.
Okay, and once I get the draft of I sent out the draft this afternoon of what the building department had sent back as an application for a demo permit. But I would like to make some changes to that. So I just sent it out as an FYI to let you know that it's on my desk and it's coming forward.
So, yeah, so this is pretty interesting in regards to the demolition permit, and I see there's a draft in there. Now, is that is going to be following up with a building permit application draft as well?
Yep, we're working
Something
on
that I guess the building department has worked on with me, and I think didn't quite get there from last year. So
Yeah,
we can expect to see that now.
Actually got a draft from Mr. George today. He's working on the permit having to do with construction using trusses. So that one arrived on my desk today. I know that they're sending me drafts as they come, and then I'm meeting with Al. We're going through the uniform state codes to be sure that we're not missing anything, and then I can roll
Well,
those out
I
too.
have sent that to you, and I can resend that email back from different applications that
Yep.
I provided to you last year in regards to building permits and demolition
Yep.
permits.
I've forwarded
if
them
I may-
out, and
sorry.
I have a small group helping me work on those.
Also, because of this complements the planning department as well. I know there were some changes made into that application. Is that going to be reflected? Is that going to be coordinated with the planning department at the same time of the square footage and what we need to look for all the different projects going forward?
Yep, we
So
are.
if you can send those over to us at some point, I would like to see those.
Oh, yeah, I have to get them back in an initial form. I can't start from scratch because I don't have enough experience with that, so I'm getting them slowly, and one at a time they're coming to
I'll
me.
send you some different applications from the municipalities, and you can work those with the planning and building
Right.
department, and we can go from there.
Yeah,
So-
those few that you had sent to me, I sent on to Valerie and to Al, and again, we are working through those. I am interviewing summer interns. I'm hoping to get someone on board in the next 2 weeks. My legal intern has accepted a position for a summer associate job in White Plains, so I'm currently solo again. So
So do you think maybe in a month from now, I guess, we'll have a
well,
better
I can only
understanding
work
of
as
that?
fast as they
Yeah.
send it to me.
Okay.
So yeah, but
Well,
I can.
If you need any help with that or the planning of the building department, more
As
than happy
fa-
to help.
That's wonderful. Thank
Manny,
you.
Manny, just as fast as the department heads send it to you, right?
Yeah.
So can we make sure that that's done?
We actually discussed that today when I met with the department heads, actually, so the planning department did mention that already. So we are working on that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very strong.
We're moving through the process.
All right. What's
Um,
next?
Number 5, local law number 5, not Mambo number 5, local law number 5. I had a meeting again with the building department on the 18th, May 18th, indicating the need to tweak language in our vehicles and traffic section. It seems to have come to our attention that our provisions actually prohibit the parking of motor vehicles over 5,000 pounds. And in today's world and society, many of our large sport utility vehicles, passenger vehicles, are over 5,000 pounds. So it has caused some trouble with the review and issuance of waivers, specifically for overnight parking, for waivers. We've had some individuals we've had to deny because the code doesn't permit it. So this is a simple fix. It's a simple fix in that it certainly it specifically exempts sport utility passenger vehicles in the class of vehicles known as sport utility
There it
vehicles.
is. It's nice.
So it's simple, it's quick. This one has no zoning revision, so it can go on pretty quickly for a public hearing, and we can then start processing those applications which we've had to hold up in advance. So.
Great. Well,
Yeah,
thank
actually, I have a
Yeah.
question about that because one of my neighbor on Ferris Place had brought this to my attention, and he pulled his sport utility vehicle up in front of my house and indicated that he wasn't able to get it on street parking because of this particular thing that we're changing. So his question to me was that he wanted to know. I told him we were going to take care of it and that we were working through the law change. So he's already made an application. So what is the process for him now in terms of, next, does he have to reapply?
I believe Assistant Manager Papes has actually been addressing that particular
okay.
concern, and
Okay,
he's
great.
not the only
Yeah.
one. It's come up a couple of times, which is why
It
we're
has
responding
come up.
to this.
Yeah,
Yep.
just so I can let him know what's
It has.
happening, or he can call you or whatever.
Yeah, and he's been dealing with the treasurer's office as well because they process the applications. So they did give him a.
He got an extension.
He got an extension,
Yeah.
and he will be granted it, so he
Okay.
can park.
So he doesn't have to.
He doesn't have to
reapply.
resubmit. I don't believe.
Okay.
No, that we
Okay. I
had.
just
We're
wanna
aware
make
of it.
sure.
There was another one that came up recently too, and it is in fact a passenger vehicle. It's not, a painting truck or something like that. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Will you guys look at the pile of applications? I mean, I don't know how many people have been rejected, but maybe those people who have been rejected could get like an email or a notice saying, by the way, if you'd like to reapply, you can get this permit now.
Yeah, I'll check with the finance to see how they're
How many?
filed and how many they are. See if
That would
that's
be
Right,
something-
the ones that are denied
That
and
would
what
be
the
a really
reasoning
nice
is.
thing to be proactive about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
That's good.
Yep. So they came to me on the 18th. It's on your agenda tonight. We can go to public hearing. We have to call for a public hearing at your next legislative session. We can hold this public hearing on June 17th.
Great.
Thank you for moving this forward so quickly. I know it's a simple thing, but it really is. It's nice to be able to respond swiftly to when community members are dealing with a hardship like this. And the intention of this regulation was to make sure that we weren't permitting or providing waivers to commercial vehicles, rather that this was people's personal vehicles, and that was the reason that the weight limit was there initially. But as Corporation Counsel indicated, private passenger vehicles now tend to sometimes be even heavier than they
exceed,
used to be.
exactly.
So that we're changing the law to keep up with the times. And
If
I'm glad
I
we're doing
may
it so quickly.
also remind you, you can deliberate under old business that same evening and actually proceed, as we did last week, to
Yeah, let's do that.
work on a resolution. I could have a resolution ready if you would like to move forward after
yes.
the close of the public hearing. We could certainly
Yes.
do it that same evening. I'll have a resolution in the
Yes,
folder
yes.
and ready
Good.
to go.
Oh.
Even
Great.
Better.
Okay.
Answer is yes.
Very good. Thank
Wonderful.
you.
Thank you.
Okay.
So if the board has no more questions on those three proposed local laws, we move to the next item. We want to discuss with you also the sidewalk cafe applications, the revisions and the updates that have been made. I know that this is something that the board has been interested in going ahead with it. And so Lori Lee, again, will take the lead on this one here and give the board a further explanation.
I circulated an email with the latest draft. I know that Trustee Herrera has been speaking with some downtown business owners who are anxious to move forward with their sidewalk cafe applications. I believe I've incorporated all the comments and language, and I would like to, this doesn't require formal action, but I would like to be sure it meets with your approval, and I'd like to do that in a public setting. And if so, I'd like to actually upload this to the website tomorrow and provide it in hard copy to the clerk's office.
Yes. I'd like to say something. I want to thank you and Omar for the amazing amount of work that you both did to get this done so quickly. It's very cool, and this will create the opportunity to make the ambiance in downtown better. Folks can sit and enjoy the air with an adult beverage, perhaps, and a sandwich, and I think that's great.
An enclosed area.
In an enclosed
In compliance, yes.
In compliance, yes.
Yes, Trustee Herrera, do you want to speak to this? You've been very
Yes.
actively involved.
Well, first of all, I have to thank my colleagues and the village manager's office and Laura Lee for partnering with me in really streamlining an application that will hopefully be used by a lot of merchants in years to come. I know that the sidewalk cafe concept is still a little new to us, but I'm pretty confident that we'll get 10 in the next month once we get a new application out there. My only question is, we do have a couple of actually only one business who is renewing, and there's a renewal of sidewalk cafe permit section. If they have no changes, should they resubmit with this new application, or should they follow the rules from this one and not?
Actually, the renewal has actually been issued. Isn't Keenan has been in and issued?
No, it's actually not. It's not Keenan. It's a different business.
We don't have a valid sidewalk cafe in any other location except Keenan. Keenan was the only sidewalk cafe permit issued last year.
That's right.
Okay.
Some people are just doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, okay.
So Keenan was the only renewal, and then as the next ones come in, they'll be eligible for renewal next year.
No. I'm actually. I did not mean to do that at all. This has been a continuous learning experience.
Very good.
I just want to make
This is your
sure.
grandfather age.
I certainly could provide you with copies of what I have in the file on past applications that weren't brought forward to completion.
Okay. Well, yeah, and we've already discussed a couple of.
You got it.
But I just wanted to, because I have been out with rulers this past weekend with some businesses, and I've been measuring myself. So that's why. That's why. No.
Not
Well, I
yet.
have a
No
tape
metaphors.
if you want a tape. It works better with a
But thank you so much. For those watching, as you see, the board and Laura Lee has really got into a lot of detail. We're really serious about streamlining the processes and a lot of, applications and forms that we haven't even brought up yet. But if you are a resident that's experiencing a challenge or feel that our forms aren't clear, please let us know.
I'd like to say, Trustee Herrera has been talking to me about Sidewalk Cafe since long before he was Trustee Herrera, and he was pre-candidate Omar. So thank you very much for seeing this through, and for, once you were in this official position, being able to work with village management to be able to make this happen. So my question would be, I think we've all had an opportunity to weigh in on this electronically. What's the process for getting this to the next step, and when can all of our local businesses go online and get their applications and start processing them?
Well, if you're in agreement that it's final, I can, at the close of the meeting, I can go upstairs and actually send it in PDF and Word to the clerk's office, and I can take out I might have sent it out without the watermark that says draft. If I didn't, I will resend it, and then you'll all have a copy as well. So
Good, thank you.
it can be used as early as tomorrow morning.
And will it be, it'll be available at the clerk's office in person? Will it be available
Yep.
online
Yes.
on the villageofossining.org?
Craig is available by remote to upload that, so it could be uploaded as before midnight.
Wonderful. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, you're set.
Wonderful.
That's great.
Moving right along.
All right. Again, I think this is, as it was mentioned already, this is going to bring, I think, a much more livelier downtown. So I think it's going to make a big difference in the village. So I look forward to that being taken advantage of the next few months. So, the next item on the agenda, actually, we have we want to talk to the board about the CHIPS street paving capital project, and we have Treasurer Thomas Warren, who will address the board on this particular issue.
Welcome, Treasurer
Thank you,
Warren.
and good evening, Mayor, members of the Board of Trustees. This is my annual visit to establish a capital project for the CHIPS street paving project. We have a small balance that initially started in 2008 that we've been carrying forward, and every year, at the end of the year, we close the old year project and we carry forward the balance to the new year. So that's what we're doing here. There's a bit of a there's going to be a bit of a delay to totally close the 2014 capital project, and that's because we're waiting for $50,000 from the Dormitory Authority that was promised the village, and we need to receive that into the 2014 CHIPS capital project before we can move that forward to the 2015 CHIPS capital project. So right now, instead of the $62,479 that we had left over from 2014, I can only recommend that we transfer $11,479, plus we have anticipated for the 2015 year from the state for CHIPS as well as the extreme aid, state aid, total of $238,436. So this capital project will modify the project balance for 2014 and establish a project budget for 2015 for a total capital project in 2015 right now of about $250,000. And then once we have the other $50,000, we'll be able to transfer that to the new project as well.
Great. And that'll be on for next week, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, since you actually don't move, because the next item is yours also. So this is Tom would like to talk to the board, also requesting to authorize the advance of money.
Yes, and this is something that last week when I was up in Poughkeepsie at a training conference sponsored by the New York State Government Finance Officers Association, and I'm surprised that with all my years of experience working for the State Controller's Office, I wasn't aware of this law myself. But from time to time, when we've talked about some of our capital projects and bonding for tax certiorari claims, we've talked about how we have these expenses throughout the year, and we're using cash flow, mostly in the general fund, to pay for the expenses, and then we go to the bond market once a year in November, and that's when all the money comes in. So by December 31st, everything is fine. But there's a lot at stake with local government tax-exempt financing. A couple of years ago, the Congress tried to take away the tax-exempt status of it. And I remember talking about that at the time, and we were trying to get as much bonding in as we could, anticipating that there'd be a partial loss of the tax-exempt status. But that did not happen. But the Internal Revenue Service certainly is always scrutinizing tax-exempt debt, looking to make sure that everything's fine, that organizations are not trying to issue tax-exempt debt because this is a loss in revenue for the federal government and state government as well if interest is not taxable. So this is a resolution being requested to comply with a specific section of law in the local finance law for New York State that basically confirms the village's policy and authorizes me to use general fund monies or water fund monies, if appropriate, to pay specific capital project expenses and also tax certiorari claims in advance of the sale of the bond proceeds. And then when the bond proceeds is issued in November, then those operating funds are reimbursed. And this is also something that has to be reported on a special IRS form, which we do file the IRS form every year as part of our bond sale, but it needs to be, itemized there so that they've got something to, go back and audit if they decide that they want to audit the village's tax-exempt bond sales.
So this is going to create flexibility for you, essentially. This is what this does. It creates more flexibility in the use of the money.
It more or less just the board giving approval to what we pretty much do in terms of using cash flow for paying expenses. Like, for instance, on the voucher detail report last week was the voucher to pay for the recreation superintendent's new vehicle. That's something that is in the 2015 bond sale that will happen either in November or, we're looking at the possibility of moving the bond sales up to August to try to keep them away from the budget process. This just basically confirms that the village is going to utilize general fund monies for cash flow to pay that bill in advance of the bond being issued in November.
Thank you for continuing to always learn how you can better protect us and represent us and follow every procedure to the T. Thank you very much.
Just so I understand, so I guess this allows you the flexibility to only do a single. Well, it makes it possible for you not to have to move up the bond sale, right? I mean, because if we weren't able to use these monies from these other funds we're really just giving ourselves a short-term loan, right? You're taking money from
correct, yes.
We have free cash that's sitting somewhere. It's not we're not using it right now, and then we're using that to take care of a short-term deficit that we have, and then we replenish it once we borrow the money, right?
Yes.
So were we doing that before? And
we've
now
been doing it all along.
Yeah. Okay.
And the law, generally, we're permitted to use interfund loans if need be, as long as interfund loans are paid back. Talking about like interfund loans between like maybe general fund to water fund, if the water fund didn't have enough cash for payroll, things like that. This just extends it to debt issuances, and that's has a specific law specific to issuance of debt.
Got it. Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
And from now on, I'm going to ask our bond counsel to actually include the wording in our bonds or our bond resolutions, so that I wouldn't have to worry about this going forward.
Thank you.
Great.
And just to add to what was just said, actually that's why it's critical that the board in future years consider maintaining the fund balance what it is, because it gives us the ability to be able to have those bridge loans, if you will, to be able to afford these purchases before the bond issues. So,
Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you,
Thank you.
Tom. The next item on the agenda is actually I want to give you a quick report of my first day here. And also, I just want to give you, as I had mentioned to you, I had the opportunity, and I'm very thankful for being able to have met with you before I started here over the last couple of weeks. I think it gave me again a chance not only to, I think, give you some of the overviews of the things that I would like to bring forward in the next few years, both first short-term and long-term ideas, but also I've been able to meet with all of the department heads, and I think I've been able to provide to them a little bit of my expectations and what I would like to hear from them as well as I start here in over the next couple of weeks. I have asked several department heads to give me a list of what they're working on. I want to be able to again make an assessment of what's going on, so this way I can proceed with future personnel assessments or whatever else the case may be, so that I can then come to the board when the time comes with the new budget starting at the end of August to be able to say, well, the reason that we're asking for this is because I have, and then give you all the facts associated with that. Earlier today, actually, we also discussed with the department heads the fact that the budget process begins in August, And I think that knowing what you've done the last couple of years, so over the last 3 years, you've been able to stay within the tax cap. Although I don't know that we're going to not be able to have the same in 2016. I think it's only fair for me to say that, being what it is, and the fact that you have been very proactive in maintaining all the expenses down, now that we're kind of down now to skin and bones, whether or not we're going to be able to do that as a proposed budget. I'm not saying that's going to be our intent, but if we are going to be able to provide the services, and again, once I make an assessment, I'll be able to, again, give you a better idea. But I think that, one of the things I'm going to be doing also with the treasurer on his department, I'm going to go over the budget year to date. So this way, when we come to you in July with the half year's budget, you're going to have also a pretty good idea, and then we can give you some indications as to where we're heading. The other thing that I will, let's see, I have also, I'm going to be reviewing the IMAs that we have with the town of Ossining, again, just to get acquainted and see how that's going to impact the 2016 budget. And we also discussed actually the use of social media and how that's going to impact also what we do and how much information we provide to the village residents. The other thing that I also would like to do actually in the next few weeks, and I'm probably going to bring with me either Assistant Manager Papes, maybe some of you may want to join me. I want to visit some of the businesses in the village, concentrate first in the downtown and then go into the uptown. But I think I want to reach out to them. I want to see what the village can do to help businesses, to help them just stay vibrant, and I think it will provide, also a better connection between village government and the businesses. So the other thing that we discussed also earlier today, to have the community meetings are not in any municipal building, but I will invite the department heads and then other community to provide maybe 1 or 2 or 3 evenings where we are there available to the public, so that we can again answer questions and be able to maybe provide information that they may not otherwise know about. I would like to also to see if we can reach out to the non-English speaking community as well. So this way, and this is part of the education process that I had discussed with some of you over the last several weeks. That's pretty much it. So.
That's it? You sure?
Before,
Sorry.
yes. Why don't you give us the details?
Tomorrow we have the memorial for the DPW. And do you want me to speak to it? Do you want to speak to it?
Go ahead.
Maybe. I'm happy to someone stealing his thunder.
That's fine, since he's here.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Reminding everybody that tomorrow, starting at 11 a.m., for you to come a little bit earlier, so we're all timely for what is going to be a CSEA-sponsored event. It is a memorial for John Paul Rodriguez, who was a DPW employee that passed away 10 years ago on this July. And the CSEA, along with the village financial sponsorship, created 2 memorial stones that were planted next to 2 weeping cherry trees that we planted about a little over 9 years ago as our own form of remembrance. So they're mounted there now. The guys mounted them in the garden bed there. They're pretty nice, and you'll see them tomorrow. And I think it's a nice honor for both of them. The other employee was Anthony Castleberry. He was a sanitation employee. He did not die while working, but he was employed by the village. So we thought it most appropriate to do that concurrent. So I think there'll be a couple of very short speeches tomorrow, one by the CSEA. I believe the state's going to say something, and I know that the CSEA has made contact with Mr. Rodriguez's family that's still in the area, and they'll be in attendance. I'm from what I hear, most of you will be in attendance, so that's appreciated, I'm sure, by the union. And there's state representatives from the union coming as well. So again, it's 11 o'clock, and I don't think the ceremony will last too long, and there's light refreshments afterwards to just spend some time and reflect. So thank you in advance for your attendance.
Thank you very much. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
putting that together. Okay, well,
Well, that's all we have this evening, so, but there is an item for an executive session to discuss a personal item about a specific individual.
can we have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn to executive session for personnel-specific individual.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Well, with that, I thank you for joining us for this evening's work session. I encourage you to join us next week, June 3rd, for our regular meeting, which will be held at the Spring Street Courthouse. And then our next work session, June 10th, will actually be an unusual occasion. We will be in the library for a community meeting, and that agenda will be coming out soon. But some of what we'll be talking about is the future of our downtown. So please mark your calendar. Every Wednesday night, we'd love to see you next week at the courthouse, but the following week, please join us at the library. We're changing location to allow for more participation, and also just to really make the point that we would like you to be there to be part of that conversation. And welcome,
Thank you.
Manager Zambrano. We are thrilled to have you here.
Thank you very much.
And with that, this meeting is adjourned.
What happened?